Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news, transfer news show, and update show and discussion show. I'm going to have to share my screen because my Wi-Fi once again is being shocking, and I know if I go into full screen it's probably going to be pixelated or really blurry. I don't know, it could be good quality right now. So we'll share my screen and we're going to get into some discussion, we're going to get into some news, and we're going to be talking about the club we love but also the club we hate. And they do say, you know, you hate and you love someone, and that is Manchester United. I love Manchester United, but I hate being a Man United fan because I'm still convinced to this day that we are a social experiment to see how much pain someone can take. Because I'm seeing tweets like this saying PSG signing Fabian Ruiz for more or less the same price we're going to get Rabiot for. And people forget, you know, that basically Juventus were trying to pay Rabiot to leave. Juventus basically sat there and like, we will pay Rabiot to leave the club, la-di-la-di-la-di-la-di-la. Now they're somehow going to milk 15, 20 million from Manchester United. Fabian Ruiz is an absolutely fantastic player. He was the actual backup for De Jong. As Alex B said, we should have targeted Fabian from the beginning. He's not far off the age of De Jong. He's an absolutely brilliant player. 25 million Fabian Ruiz is going to PSG for, and we're spending 20 million on a Rabiot that Juventus were trying to pay out the club. It's an absolutely embarrassing situation to be in. And the reason I'm so upset and the reason I'm annoyed with this situation is because I feel like we haven't learned from 2020. Now, everyone learns from their mistakes. I always think with Man United, it can't get any worse. Whenever I think we've hit rock bottom, they seem to prove me wrong. I thought Woodward and Judge have gone. Am I a big fan of Arnold and Merton? No, but I was saying, oh, Arnold and Merton are improvement on Woodward and Judge because it's impossible to be worse than Woodward and Judge. Arnold and Merton are saying they've got this new approach and all of that. And I'm sitting here with Arnold and Merton potentially being worse than Woodward and Judge because I can't remember a transfer window we've had before that was this bad, other than the Moyes era. Since Moyes, I cannot remember a transfer window this bad. And I sit there and I think, have we not learnt from our mistakes? Because we were going to go in and sign a 33-year-old Arnautovic. Man United haven't signed a striker under the age of 30 in 6 seasons. We always panic, we never get our business done, and we think, okay, we haven't done enough this transfer window, how can we make up for it? Let's go and buy a 30-year-old striker, and always thinking short term. We're never thinking long term. We're at the beginning of a rebuild. We need to be thinking long term fix. And we'll go sign a striker that's 30 plus. The only reason we're not signing an Arnautovic is because he's a racist, which is very good that we're not signing him, but because they were bombarded with emails, because United care about PR. That, you know, so luckily we're not signing an Arnautovic, thank God, but it's the strategy which was embarrassing. The going in for Rabiot when actually there's a lot better alternatives out there. And what I'm reading today is, and what really kills me today is, apparently the reason Chelsea might win the De Jong race is because even though De Jong has a verbal agreement with United, and it was confirmed today that De Jong's agent has an agreement with United that De Jong will come, even though De Jong has an agreement with United that he will come, apparently Man United were only willing to pay a section of De Jong's wages, whilst Chelsea are willing to pay the €85 million fee for Frenkie de Jong and his deferred wages, which sorts the whole situation out. And I don't know if this is true or not, but from what I've read, you're telling me that De Jong, who isn't even one of Chelsea's first choice transfer targets, and Chelsea have already spent 100 plus million this summer, Chelsea are willing to pay for De Jong and his deferred wages to bring him to the club, when Man United spent 14 weeks on a player, have realised Chelsea might get the player, but still said, oh, we don't want to spend 10 million more, he can go to Chelsea. Are we really that tight on money that we'd rather save 10 million and let our number one target in an awful transfer window go to our rivals Chelsea than spend that extra 10 million to pay De Jong's deferred wages? Because I cannot believe that's true. Because people say De Jong's not coming to United because he doesn't want to come to United. Then, you know, we were told that in May. If that was the situation, we would have dropped out the De Jong race in May. And if the situation really is that Chelsea is just willing to give Barcelona more money than us for De Jong, despite Chelsea already spending nearly 3 times the amount of money we spent, and they're about to spend 70 plus million on Fofana, it just tells you everything you need to know about the owners. It tells you everything you need to know about the club. We don't want to spend money. You know, the Rabiot move's moving quickly because it's 15, 18 million pound player. If it's a cheap player, if it's a player that's going to save us money, United can get a deal done really quick. If it's a big player that's going to cost a lot of money, United will take their time. And, you know, they say that they've changed and they say all of this, but we're not a serious club. We're still saving money FC. We're still PR FC. We're still not got a plan FC, because as soon as we're hearing problems about De Jong going to Chelsea, Man United are in panic mode. And the worst part for me is we could have stopped De Jong getting on that plane. We could have easily stopped De Jong getting on that plane and sorted out the wage issue and been like, okay, we're going to pay De Jong's wages and we're going to get this deal done 6 weeks ago, because you never know, a Chelsea or a Man City could swoop in. And if a Chelsea or a Man City swoop in, United are in trouble. Reportedly, De Jong said to United, oh, I'm happy to join United, but if I do get better offers, I'll consider. So United just assume that it's De Jong wanted to come. La-di-la-di-la-di-la-di-da. Play around with it. Oh, wait, Chelsea have swooped in. We could have got De Jong 6 weeks ago if we just, made a bit of an effort to pay some of his deferred wages and get the deal sorted. Now we're risking losing Ten Hag's number one main target, the target he's planned to build his team around, to Chelsea. And we need a midfielder. First of all, I think it's absolutely outrageous that we start the season with MCFRED. I actually cannot believe, after losing Pogba and Matic, that we haven't got a single midfielder for the first game of the season. And I thought that was absolutely outrageous. But to top it off, I think losing De Jong would just be 10 times more outrageous. I think it would make it the most embarrassing, biggest transfer fail in history, because not only is there no backup for De Jong, but imagine if De Jong going to Chelsea after seeing Murta and Arnold in Barcelona trying to get the deal done. It's dumber and dumber. They've spent 14 weeks on this deal. They've flown out to Barcelona. They've flown out to Spain. They're putting all this effort in, making it public about how much they want De Jong. And imagine if he didn't come. Imagine if he went to Chelsea, how bad that would look for the club, how embarrassing it is. Because that is our club. And the problem is they haven't learned. Because there's no backup to De Jong. Fabrizio Romano said, De Jong is plan A, B, C, D, E, F, and G for Manchester United. There's no backup for De Jong. And this reminds me of Jadon Sancho 2 seasons ago. I was crying for Ruiz and Basuma and still crying for Lemar and Sangare. Both deals will cost 50 million. You're absolutely right. The worst part is it's not that there weren't alternatives for De Jong. There was lots of good cheap midfielders out there that were instantly going to be an improvement on MCFRED. But all the good cheap midfielders have gone. Paulinho's gone. Sangare's under new contract. Ruiz is gone. Basuma's gone. I mean, Lemar's about. We don't need to be looking at him considering he's a pressing monster. And there were so many options out there, but because we just didn't look at them and delayed them, and now we're like, oh crap, 2 weeks left of the transfer window, De Jong might be going to Chelsea. United have gone in this big panic mode, not got a plan, not got any kind of organisation, and are going to chuck money at Rabiot, who Juventus were almost trying to pay to go. And I know McTominay is pretty crap, but I don't think just because he's better than McTominay doesn't mean he's good enough for Manchester United as well. I think it's really embarrassing. I will scroll down and look at some live chats in a second as well. Fabrizio did say today United aren't giving up on De Jong. The De Jong deal's not over. I will get into the De Jong news. If Arsenal signed Tonali and Tielemans, that's just embarrassing. Arsenal, who we have a miles better midfield than us. Imagine Arsenal signing a CDM before Manchester United. I mean, how absolutely embarrassing would that be as well? But getting back into my point as well, guys. In 2020, what did Manchester United do? Manchester United spent the whole summer transfer window trying to sign Jadon Sancho in 2020. And we literally thought we had Jadon Sancho, but we decided to wait on Jadon Sancho. We decided to wait on Jadon Sancho to see if we could save a little bit of money. And because we waited on Jadon Sancho to see if we could save a little bit of money, Manchester United ended up losing out on Jadon Sancho. Because Dortmund said, if you don't get Jadon Sancho by this deadline, you're not getting him at all. Man United just thought, we'll wait on him, we'll save a little bit of money. And we never got Jadon Sancho in 2020. We only got Donny van der Beek in 2020 because it fell through with Real Madrid. So then we swooped in as Donny's second choice. And did we even want Donny van der Beek as a questionable thing? But in 2020, we desperately needed a DM. It's funny that summer 2021 last year, we desperately needed a DM. But even summer 2020, we desperately needed a DM because we'd never replaced Herrera. We never replaced Fellaini. Matic could only play once a week. We knew 2 summers ago we needed a DM. We knew last summer we needed a DM. We knew this summer we needed a DM. Our FRENKIE de Jong alternatives are number 8s, not number 6s. Not even a DM. But in 2020, when we didn't get Jadon Sancho because we decided to wait it out to see if we could save some money, we spent £38 million on Amad Diallo, who we're just constantly throwing out on loan, £6 million on Palestri, Cavani and Telles. Now, Telles is a flop. Cavani is a flop. Yes, he was good for 1 season. It was a risk. It paid off. Then he was injured, causing dressing room issues. Amad Diallo, I don't want to call Amad Diallo and Palestri flops. We've not used them once in 2 years since we signed them. And we are completely repeating this. A lot of people don't realise this, but this summer, this window, I feel like we were repeating that whole process of we spent the whole summer on De Jong. De Jong's the Sancho. Realised we've absolutely messed up De Jong and all of that. And now Manchester United are going to go all out and go, let's go and get a load of panic signings in. And panic signings very rarely work. Rabiot could just be the next. Rabiot could be an ex Cavani where he's good for 1 season. starts causing problems. Rabiot could be a good signing, but at the end of the day, would you say Amad Diallo was a good signing? Probably not. Would you say Pellistri was a good signing? Potentially for the future, but again, we're not using him. We're bringing him up on loan, and it's like when we signed Pellistri, Amad, Cavani, and Tellez. You know, we didn't use Pellistri, Amad, Cavani, or Tellez much last season. We barely used them. And I just feel like now all the names we're linked to is just saga all over again, because we spent all this time trying to work on one player. We turned down Anthony. We had a chance to sign Anthony. Bear in mind, Man United knew in May Ten Hag wanted Anthony. Man United knew in May Ten Hag wanted Anthony. But in May, we turned down the chance to sign Anthony because we thought, we want to buy De Jong first. So we thought, we'll turn down Anthony in May because we want to buy De Jong first. Yeah? Now Anthony went from 40 million to 100 million euros because we took our time on Anthony. And that was all because of De Jong. And De Jong has absolutely ruined the whole transfer window. And that is not De Jong's fault. Do not take it out on De Jong. That's Manchester United, because they rejected buying players because they're waiting for De Jong. They took time on deals because they were waiting for De Jong. They did all of this because they're waiting for De Jong. And then they just thought, you know what, De Jong, go on pre-season tour. We'll be here. We'll take our time for you. Thought they were safe to get De Jong. A proper real club like Chelsea has swooped in for De Jong. And Man United are like, oh, crap. Oh, crap. I wonder why you're panicking, Manchester United, because this is what you did with Sancho. Obviously, we had a verbal agreement with Sancho, we had personal terms with Sancho, and we didn't meet Dortmund's deadline. But I feel like we haven't met the deadline for De Jong, because now big teams are going in for De Jong. Now other teams are going in and looking to sign De Jong. And it's just the 2020 window all over again. And I just sit here and I just think, have Man United learn? Trust me, Rabiot will be the only centre mid signed. Fred will play lesser. McTominay and Rabiot. McTominay and Rabiot in the midfield for United is generally my worst nightmare as well. Guys, let's go for 300 likes. So make sure you smash that like button, and of course subscribe down below if you're new. Glazers love their board. They never dream of looking to hire the best in class to run Man United. They're not here for sporting reasons. The Glazers are a disgrace. I saw a video clip of Melissa Reddy and what she had to say about the Glazers, and she absolutely hit the nail on the head. The Glazers are an absolute disgrace. The Glazers have not invested 1p into United. And do you know what really annoys me? Is you get people going, oh, Man United fans are so spoiled. Look how much money Man United spend and all of that. I think people are really naive and don't realise that not 1p of money has been spent out of the Glazers' pocket. Every bit of money we spent, the club has generated. And the problem is, we might spend money. We might go and spend 100 million on Rabiot, sorry. We might go and spend 100 million on Rabiot, some shit striker that Ten Hag doesn't want, and Milinkovic-Savic. And yeah, we spent 100 million, but it's what have you spent 100 million on? And people always go, I don't get why Man United fans complain. They always spend money, la-di-la-di-la-di-la-di-la-di-la. And it's like, well, we don't, the owners don't spend money. They spend the club's money, and they spend the club's money on shit. This is the money we put into the club. This is the money we invest into the club. And they don't back the manager with it. They don't want to spend any of it. And then they go and spend it on absolute crap, you know. And that is why United fans have a problem. Because not only has the club put us in debt, not only have the Glazers absolutely tore Manchester United apart from top to bottom. Man United are the biggest club in England. Manchester United are one of the biggest clubs in the world. And we can't even get top 4 this season. We are absolutely done for and finished. We can't even attract players. Apparently, Timo Werner rejected Manchester United and wanted to go to RB Leipzig. You know, we are one of the biggest clubs in the world. We are the biggest club in England. We don't act like the biggest club in England. And we're in a point where all the other top clubs in England are starting to act like a proper side. Even Spurs and Arsenal have learnt from their previous mistakes, and their owners are trying to up their game. But our owners don't want to change. Our owners don't care. You know, we had a chance to bring in Paul Mitchell. No, we had Ralph Rangnick, who was going to be involved in a consultancy role that, honestly, if we had Ralph Rangnick, we'd be getting Lemon and Cuckoo instead of Arnautovic and Rabiot last minute. You know, but United thought, no, you know, Ralph Rangnick's going to expose us. He wants what's best for the club. He doesn't want what's best for the commercial side. They got rid of Ralph Rangnick. They brought in Arnold and Murta, but they didn't bring in Arnold and Murta. People forget that Arnold and Murta were always at Manchester United. Arnold and Murta have been here through the last 10 years of failure. They just promoted them because they don't want to bring anyone new in. They don't want to bring anyone with a track record in because they don't want to spend money. They don't want to operate like a proper football club because the owners don't care. So not only have the owners taken over Manchester United in such an inhumane way, like I don't even know how they were allowed to take over Manchester United the way that they, you know, kind of just basically, it was like taking a whole mortgage out on a massive house You know, they just took all this money out and then they just put it on Man United, and they brought Man United for basically nothing and just thought Man United, the money we generate the club will pay off what they brought United for. Not invested a single penny in, taking dividends out. No club has took more money out in dividends than our owners. We have countless protests. They say they're going to change, and as soon as someone like Ragnick sits there and exposes Man United, Ragnick, get out. That's how they are, because it's an absolute disgrace of the club. And now Arsenal and Liverpool and we are in trouble. You've got Aston Villa up in their game doing better business than us, looking more serious than us. You've got clubs like West Ham that are probably a better team than us right now. You've got Newcastle in the mix. And before we know it, if we don't change the way we act, we are just going to become a classic mid-table side. And I know that sounds really negative, but I feel like if we just don't change, if we don't make some changes soon, we're going to come a mid-table side. Because I like Erik ten Hag, and I think Erik ten Hag is a fantastic manager. And I am so glad that Manchester United have brought in Erik ten Hag. But I'm just seeing a repeat of every other manager. Just like Ten Hag, Man United are bringing in another manager, selling them all these promises, and just not backing them to begin with. Endless Motion says, I think we might be at the tipping point for United. Glazers thought naively they could do whatever they like, and put the pull of United being such a huge club would always keep them in the top four. You're absolutely spot on there as well. We're a classic mid. I feel like we're going to end up a mid-table side if we don't get these guys, if we don't change soon. As a fan, what should we do to get the Glazers out? We have to be united. We just have to stop the Glazers getting money from the club, which is the only. If someone said to me we could get Man United relegated and the Glazers would go, I'd say yes. Like, that is how bad I want them out. Make sure you hit that like button if you are Glazers out. And, of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new, because we have been linked to CODY GAKPO. We have been linked to Kalovic. We have been linked to a lot of people, and I've got a lot of news to get into. But I'm just really upset, and I'm trying to find a post to get on my screen, but unfortunately I can't find it. But what I am going to do is I'm going to show you this. It's beyond players and transfers now. You know, let's actually think beyond players and transfers. We've been ranting about Frenkie de Jong, but it's beyond that now. The stadium is broken and it's been left behind. The training ground is aged and been left behind. The only club in the league not to have a screen inside the ground. It's financially ridden and structured horribly, inept footballing decisions. I think that just sums it up. We have the worst facility. Manchester United, the biggest club in England, the third biggest club in the world, one of the biggest fan bases in the world, the biggest following on TikTok. They like to celebrate that. A club the size of Man United is the only side in the Premier League not to have a screen in the stadium. A club the size of Man United has leaks coming from the roof. A club the size of Manchester United has an outdated stadium that needs updoing, training facilities that need updoing. But a club like Manchester United still has bankers, scousers, and people that like rugby running a football club and making the decisions higher up. Yes, you've brought in Ten Hag. Yes, you're saying you're going to back Ten Hag. But you clearly haven't. Because if you were a serious club and you were actually going to back Ten Hag, you would have got Anthony when he cost £50 million. You wouldn't have waited on it. Ten Hag gave them a list. He said, I want Nunes, I want Anthony, I want Ericsson, I want Malacia, I want Timber, and I want De Jong. Cool. Martinez, we didn't get Timber. That was not our fault. That was out of our hands. We got Martinez in. We could have got Anthony. We didn't push hard enough. We didn't want to get Nunes because he was too much money. We went in for De Jong. We went all the way to Barcelona. Arnold and Murta sin in Barcelona, bragging that they're going to get this deal done. Then sat back because they're useless. They know nothing. Just thought, yeah, De Jong, get on that flight. Yeah, we'll wait 6 weeks for you, De Jong. And in that 6 weeks that we thought we could just sit back and chill and wait for De Jong, Chelsea have come in. Chelsea are causing us serious issues. Now we don't get De Jong. United don't have a plan. And United have gone shit. We probably needed a plan if we didn't get De Jong, because now PSV have, Sangare has extended his contract at PSG. He's not available. Fabio Ruiz, who was probably the best backup option, has gone to PSG for 25 million. And you're telling me that we've missed out on signing Basuma for 25 million and Fabio Ruiz for 25 million, and we're probably going to miss out on signing Lemar for 17 million. But United want to sign Rabiot, who Juventus were trying to pay to leave the club, whose mum is known for causing issues, for £20 million, because United don't have a plan and they've panicked and they've gone, well, Rabiot was a name that people wanted a few years ago. Rabiot right now is a name no one wants. The only player still on the market right now in midfield in this stage of the transfer window is because A, no one wants them, or B, you've got to overpay for them. And Man United, what would Man United rather do? Buy someone no one wants, but say they've brought a midfielder to try and shut the fans up, or overpay for someone that would be good? Well, United don't want to spend money, so they're not going to overpay for someone that's going to be good. We could overpay for Declan Rice if we really wanted to. Not that I'm a fan of it, but considering how bad the window is and considering how bad our midfield is, If someone said to me at the beginning of the window, 120 million on Declan Rice, I'd say no. I'd say we don't want to be spending more than 60 million on a position. We need 4 or 5 signings in. If someone said to me right now, we just spend the rest of the budget on Declan Rice and bring no one else in, I think I'd say yes. Because I just think anything is better than Rabiot and whatever we're going to do in attack. Now, I like CODY GAKPO, but apparently United aren't going to make an offer for CODY GAKPO until they know if they're going to get De Jong or not. So you're telling me we're not going to spend £35 million on a winger when if there's an injury to Sancho or Rashford, we're going to be playing Garnacho and Elanga, but you still don't want to spend £35 million on a winger that has got better stats than Anthony Eredivisie, that's young, that Ten Hag wants, that's versatile, because, you know, if you buy De Jong, you might not be able to afford him. United need to act like a serious club, because one injury to Rashford, one injury to Sancho, you're playing the youth. No top club operates like that. But not only do we need an attacker, but we need 2 midfielders. And right now, Man United, no matter if they get De Jong or not, need to sign 2 midfielders and an attacker ASAP. The only way you can somewhat recover this transfer window is if you go out and you get CODY GAKPO, and if you can't get De Jong, you bring in a Lamar, you bring in an Aouar, you bring whoever Ten Hag wants, but ideally good signings. You even able to pay for a midfielder if that's what you need to do, even a Milinkovic-Savic. But if you buy a Milinkovic-Savic, make sure you buy a 6 to go next to him, because we've got Donny that can play in that 8 role, because we've got Bruno that can play in that 8 role, and because we've got Eriksen that can play in that 8 role. We've neglected the 6 role, and Man United neglected the 6 role for 3 transfer winners in a row. Last year, I thought surely we'll buy a DM this season. If someone had said to me in May, after we just lost Pogba and we just lost Matic, that Man United would be in August without a new midfielder, especially without a new DM, I would have laughed. I said, no way, this club needed a DM for 3 years. Surely we're going to get one this window. Even if Pogba and Matic have stayed, we get a DM this window. No, we've started the first game of the season with MCFRED. And if someone had told me that at the start of the season, I honestly would have sat there and laughed, guys. I would have sat there and laughed and thought you're lying. Conrad Lane will be better than Rabiot, says Daniel. Spot on. Make sure you smash that like button if you are Glazers out. Sorry I haven't got into many chats and all of that. Brighton had months to plan and was ready for us. Next game, Brentford. If we lose to Brentford, oh my God. If we lose to Brentford, oh my God. Imagine a PSV player waiting on their Champions League hopes before deciding on United. I mean, do you know what the worst part about the Rabiot deal is? Is that actually Rabiot, if Monaco had beat PSV yesterday, and if Monaco had qualified for the Champions League, Rabiot would have gone to Monaco over Man United. Rabiot isn't even that bothered about joining Man United, so we shouldn't be in for him. You know, there's all for trying to sign a player, but if the player isn't even bothered about joining United and is only coming for the wages, that's what Sanchez did, that's what Di Maria did, that's what Falcao did. There's no point signing a player because you've panicked, you've messed up the transfer window, and you're going to sign. You're not Man United like, now let's just sign Rabiot. We've messed up the transfer window. A Rabiot that we're going to overpay for, that the club doesn't want, that doesn't even want to come as well. Daniel says West Ham have to face Shailings on Sunday. You just know Lingard's going to score against West Ham. You just know. Garner needs to play more and see how good he would be in real games. I'm all for Garner, Donny and Eriksen starting in midfield against Brentford. Smash a like if you agree with me. Transfer's not the solution for United. We need the owners to go. Because, you know, I'm all for us making some transfers and doing some deals. But as you said, it's got to be the right deals. It's got to be the right deals. It's got to be the right transfers. There's no point bringing in Rabiot just because he's another midfielder. It will shut up some fans and he's slightly better than McTominay. I don't think Rabiot's what the club needs. If we buy Rabiot and he ends up being good, I will apologise, but I don't think he is. Manchester United are among clubs understood to have considered making a bid for Douglas Luiz, but now he's set to sign a new deal with Aston Villa. Look at that. Aston Villa have a better midfield than us. The worst part is there's players in Fulham's midfield, Aston Villa's midfield, in Leicester's midfield that would walk right into our midfield. We've gone from having Carrick, Scholes, Keane to Fred and McTominay. Now, we've known for 3 years Fred and McTominay at Man United standard, but Man United generally are thinking about going into the season with Fred and McTominay playing week in, week out, because they don't have a plan. Honestly, they do not have a plan. Man United apparently will make an offer for Sasa Kalinic, who I think is a good player, CODY GAKPO, who I think is a good player, but there's no plan if we don't get De Jong. And this is what really infuriates me. This is what really infuriates me about Man United, because we've not learnt our lesson. We just thought we won't even try for anyone else. There's loads of good, cheap, young alternatives out there. We're not even going to try. You know, and look, what can I say? What can I say? Guys, make sure you smash that like button and do subscribe down below if you're new. I do want to get into some transfer news and all that in just a second. Apparently, United are not in for Tielemans. That's the news coming out. McTominay makes all the players around him look bad, like Harry Maguire. I will say this now, and people will call me crazy. Harry Maguire and Lisandro Martinez were good versus Brentford. They got absolutely no protection. Harry Maguire made a mistake in the first goal in the sense that he shouldn't have stepped forward because it meant he was easy to go past. Lisandro Martinez did not put foot wrong in that game against Brighton. Harry Maguire was probably one of our best players in that game versus Brighton. Maguire and Lisandro Martinez actually made more interceptions and more ball recoveries than any other centre-back pairing in the Premier League in game week 1. And why is Lisandro Martinez and Harry Maguire doing all that work? When you play for Man United, you expect the defenders not to have that good stats because they don't have much to do. But because our midfield is invisible, because Brighton could just walk through our midfield, because Fred and McTominay are absolutely invisible, it was literally like, cool, the defence had loads to do. I'm actually going to try and find it. I saw a really good TikTok that I want to play out for you guys. Oh, no, flop. Oh, don't want to hit that sound up.
Oh my God.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I'm trying to find this video for you guys. And it was an analysation of what went wrong against Brighton. It was a really good analysation of what went wrong versus Brighton. And what I'm going to do is, I don't know if this is going to work. Let me know, guys, if you can hear this, if the audio and quality is all right, because I'm going to play this now. I just want you to give me an update. But this was all our mistakes versus Brighton.
Goal at the weekend. McTominay loses the ball to give Brighton possession.
Let me play this from the beginning.
How many errors led to Brighton's opening goal at the weekend? McTominay loses the ball to give Brighton possession. Delot doesn't close down with any intensity. It allows Trossard to pick up the ball, look up, find the perfect pass, play it, completely unchallenged. If we pan the camera, we see Sancho just jogging back, not contributing anything defensively. As soon as the ball's played, Maguire steps up for some reason, takes him completely out of the game. It means Martinez has to come across and Danny Welbeck has time to lift his head and pick out a pass. There are 2 midfield runners next to Fred. He doesn't bother tracking any of them. It's near impossible for Danny Welbeck to score from this position, so De Gea has to predict the cross. He doesn't, and even though the ball's probably only 3 yards away from the goal, David gets nowhere near it. Because of the previously mentioned errors, Luke Shaw has to come over and mark the man furthest inside, leaving a man free at the back post, and then it's a goal. So well done, boys. That's 7 errors caused by 7 individual players. Let's aim high for Brentford and go for 6 errors that lead to a goal. How many errors led to Brighton's opening goal?
So that was a video I saw, and I wanted to play that to you guys about an analysis of what went down versus Brighton. And it all starts from errors in midfield, which leads to errors at the back. And, you know, a lot of players were at fault for that Brighton goal, as you could see in that video. A lot of players were in fault for that Brighton goal. But, you know, talking of MCFRED, I will say this. You get some good midfielders in, and you will see a much better side of Harry Maguire. I'm telling you this now. Like, I don't think Harry Maguire is the best player in the world. I don't think Harry Maguire is an amazing player. But I think Harry Maguire is one of them players where actually if De Gea comes out of his box more and is not glued to his line, if Harry Maguire starts to get some protection from the midfield, he's a coachable player, because we've seen Maguire be good for England. We've seen Maguire be good in the past, but we've got no midfield. We've got no midfield. They offered the defence no protection. Lisandro Martinez and Maguire did more than any other centre-back pairing in the opening week of the Premier League. And the reason behind that is because they have the most work to do, because the midfield offered no protection. And the worst part about MCFRED is not only are MCFRED defensively offering no protection, but going forward, and someone said this, I think it was Toby on TikTok, breaking the lines. Martinez and Maguire are breaking the lines for our midfielders. Our midfielders never break the lines. They can't break lines. They can't pass. So our defence is doing the work of the midfield. And the reason I've been protecting Harry Maguire a bit more lately is because Maguire has to do some of the work of the midfield, because the midfield is so incompetent as well. Now, I do want to say United need midfielders. I don't think Maguire was good enough last season. I'm not protecting Maguire. But what I'm saying about Harry Maguire is people go in on Harry Maguire because he's captain. I understand that. He was god-awful last season. He should have been dropped last season. I will not understand why Maguire was playing week in, week out last season. But Maguire takes all the blame when it's the midfield that is worse. And I will stick with that now. Because, yes, he's not the best centre-back, but he is breaking the lines for the midfield, because our midfield is absolutely not good enough. I'm glad that that video played all right as well. I'm always worried about playing a video because, 1, I don't want to be copyrighted, and 2, it always lags and stuff. But, I thought that video was a really good insight of just how many mistakes we had. And you know what? I want to get back into my rant, but let me just take a quick swig of water. I do want to say, guys, please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new and want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news as well. I want to get into the De Jong situation. I know you guys don't really want to hear a lot about Frenkie de Jong and all of that, but we have got a Frenkie de Jong update. And I want to talk about, is there potential for De Jong to end up at United and all of that as well. So let me show you. Guys, have you seen this? The Glazer, there's been reviews on the Glazer family gym. So before I get into the De Jong news, I thought this was absolutely hilarious. So the Glazer family has a gym. They own a gym in Florida where they live. It's like a spa and gym. And Man United fans have absolutely hijacked the Glazer family gym. And they've commented, they've done a big sort of review. So here are the reviews on the Glazer family gym. They said that they would bring in new gym equipment and it never came, and instead they brought in outdated, dusted equipment. Need the FDJ cross trainer in right now. I thought that was quite funny. The Frankie de Jong cross trainer, because it's a gym. Someone complained about outdated gym equipment relating to United. Someone said they called up to see if they could join the Glazer gym, but they said it would take 13 weeks to get a transfer and billing done. The management must be awful to have such queues. So honestly, there were some really funny comments on the Glazer thing. Let me actually, shall I get it up for you guys? It's Brian. This is it. So this is the Glazer family gym here. This is the Glazer family gym. And as you can see, there's a lot of reviews. But if you go to the newest reviews here, 1 star. Oh, they're deleting the reviews. They're deleting the reviews. They're deleting the reviews. Oh, guys, trust me, there were so many 1-star, really bad reviews, but they're all getting deleted by Google. Trust them. So many, basically, loads of Man United fans went over to the Glazer family thing and were reviewing it and giving it 1-star reviews. But of course, Man United drop it. Barcelona doing a lawsuit to make sure De Jong goes, and Chelsea not selling TV rights. Look, let's actually talk about this Barcelona mess. Let's talk about De Jong, and hopefully this will be one of the last times I talk about De Jong. And I tweeted this earlier, and this is so embarrassing, but if Man United signed De Jong, I will be celebrating it as if we bloody won a trophy, because that is the state of this club. Imagine me celebrating signing De Jong as if we won a bloody trophy. Signing De Jong should be an expectation. Man City fans be like, cool, boom, good signing, yeah. I'm going to be celebrating signing De Jong as if we won a trophy if we sign him. I don't think we're going to sign De Jong at this rate. This whole situation is absolutely crazy, but I do want to get into the news regarding De Jong, because De Jong to United isn't completely off. Now, it seems that De Jong will go to Chelsea, but De Jong to United isn't completely off. I will tell you that now. And we could be being played into paying some more money for De Jong as well. Sky Sports say that Man United still believe they can get a deal for De Jong done, which is absolutely crazy. Of course, I'm lagging. I'm always lagging. I'm just going to share my screen, because if I share my screen, it just makes the screen less blurry, because for some reason, Alice's internet never wants to work when she's live, which is absolutely brilliant. But I will get into the live chats. I am going to read out a few live chats in a minute, so I do apologise I've not interacted with a lot of live chats. We don't have a proper DM, the key to provide cover to the centre-backs. Frankie de Jong doesn't solve that, I agree, but Frankie de Jong's a massive improvement on what we have and can play in that role as well. But let me actually get into the real news about De Jong. So it came out today from Sky Sports, but it actually came out from Marcel van der Kraan, a really reliable Dutch journalist, was interviewed on Sky Sports, saying that Frankie de Jong is still the absolute #1 transfer priority for Erik ten Hag, and Manchester United are certainly not giving up on signing Frankie de Jong. But Sami Mokbel of the Daily Mail, and Sami Mokbel was sort of I think he was the first journalist, I believe, to confirm, I think it was Eriksson. They've been quite good on United news. Now, Sami Mokbel of the Daily Mail has come out and said that Manchester United, at least as it stands, are not completely walking away from the De Jong deal. So this came out from Sami that we've not walked away from the De Jong deal, but there is a growing feeling that any chance they have of signing midfielder De Jong is now hanging by a thread. Sami also said that Erik ten Hag feels De Jong's attributes were essential to the passing and possession style he wants to implement at Manchester United, as there was a belief that the deal could be reached at one stage. Ten Hag thought it was unnecessary to consider alternatives. So Sami Mokbel of the Daily Mail is saying the reason Man United didn't consider alternatives for De Jong was because there was a stage where it seemed that De Jong was going to come to United, and it indicated to Ten Hag that he was going to come to United. Now, Sami Mokbel also said while Manchester United chiefs were provided with enough encouragement that Frankie de Jong would consider joining them despite their failure to qualify the UCL, his stance appears to have changed over the summer. So apparently at the beginning of the summer, Frankie de Jong had indicated to United that he wanted to join the club and all of that, and that now his stance has changed. Now, has Frankie de Jong's stance changed about joining Man United because he's actually seen what disastrous transfer window we've had and thought this club isn't changing, even with Ten Hag coming in and doesn't want to be a part? Could we have fucked the Frankie de Jong deal up by taking so long on it, and Frankie de Jong's just looked at what we've done this transfer window and just thought United doesn't appeal for me? Or B, could United taking their time to sign Frankie de Jong mean that Chelsea have now come in with an offer and he's got better options? But what's been said was de Jong had communicated to Ten Hag that he'd be open to joining. And what this whole report is coming out saying that Ten Hag wanted de Jong and Man United believed they were going to get de Jong and continue pursuing de Jong because de Jong had indicated to Ten Hag that he wanted to join. So that's why we were all in for de Jong, because de Jong had indicated that he wanted to join Ten Hag. But now de Jong's stance has changed. All of a sudden, de Jong's stance has changed. And maybe that's because he's seeing that we're doing no business in the transfer window. He's going to come and play for a shit United side. Because remember, Ten Hag promised de Jong that he'd only be out the Champions League for 1 season. I don't think we're finishing in the top 4 this year. I think we're going to be out the Champions League for 2 seasons. And that's not going to attract a player like Frankie de Jong. And I think United have absolutely bottled it because they've taken their time on Frankie de Jong as well. De Jong to go to Chelsea, board don't want him. Look, if de Jong I'd rather de Jong stay at Barcelona than go to Chelsea because it's just more embarrassing for us. It also came out that sources have indicated that a move for Frankie de Jong to Chelsea is currently a more realistic prospect than him joining United. So that was also come out from Sammy Mokbel. However, Marcel van der Kraan, a very, very reliable journalist, did come out today and say that Frankie de Jong is still the absolute #1 priority for Ten Hag, and Manchester United is certainly not giving up on a deal to sign de Jong, and that Manchester United did agree a deal with de Jong's agent. Now, reportedly, the reason that Manchester United spent 14 weeks on de Jong is because we've privately agreed a deal with de Jong's agents weeks ago for de Jong to join the club. So the situation is, either United did agree a deal with de Jong's agent for de Jong to join the club and have been waiting on de Jong because they believe de Jong's going to come, but now Chelsea have swooped in and de Jong's changed his mind. Or B, Man United still have an agreement with de Jong's agent for de Jong to join the club, and that this is all Barcelona and Man United media games. Because I feel like every reliable journalist is indicating de Jong to Chelsea, but you've got to remember Barcelona are media games FC, and Barcelona could leak all this, because we know Chelsea are going in for Aubameyang, that is confirmed, but Barcelona could leak all this stuff about Chelsea being so close to getting de Jong to almost scare United into paying de Jong's deferred wages. But also United could deliberately be leaking all this information about Milinkovic-Savic and Rabiot and us looking at alternatives to scare Barcelona into making them think we're not going to pay the money for de Jong. So Barcelona hurry up and pay de Jong's deferred wages so he hurry up and goes to United before we sign a midfielder. There's potential that all these mind games are going on, and this is just some big games with the media because it's something Man United and Barcelona would do. But I think I'm at the point now where I just think Manchester United is a mess. Man United don't have a plan. And I think de Jong is more likely to go to Chelsea, which for me is the worst case scenario. Because at least if de Jong stays at Barcelona, it fucks Barcelona. It actually came out today that Christensen and Kessie might have to leave Barcelona because de Jong won't lower his wages. And I'd fucking love that. Imagine, because I take Kessie. You know what? If de Jong stays at Barcelona, it means we get Kessie on a free. I'm absolutely all for it. I tell you that now. But if de Jong goes to Chelsea, Barcelona get away with absolutely messing everyone about also and acting like dickheads. And we end up with McFred still and maybe Rabiot. And that would just make it McFreddy up. It'd be McFreddy up. I mean, adding Rabiot to McFred, it's just like having a third member of McFred. It's not Rabiot and McFred. It's going to be McFreddy up. Because that's how it feels as well. Gerard Romero is saying that the deal between Chelsea and Barcelona is in the final stretches of being agreed, but Gerard Romero could very easily be played by Barcelona. You never know. Guys, I just want to throw out there, please do smash that like button if you have not already. And of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. If you do want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news, please do subscribe down below. I'm on 43,999 subscribers. I'm not even lying, guys. I'm on 43,999 subscribers. We've got over 750 people watching. I'm sure there's at least one person watching right now that's not subscribed, and it's absolutely free to subscribe. And if one more person subscribes to the channel, we'll hit 44,000 subscribers. So please do subscribe because I do go live every single evening on the channel, keeping you guys up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates, and more. So please do subscribe. Got a video coming out tomorrow morning. Got a live stream on the transfer news tomorrow night. There's obviously a situation with new owners putting in a bid for United. There's obviously players wanting to leave. There's the Ronaldo wanting to leave situation. There's the Jong situation going on. But obviously, if we don't get de Jong, we'll probably be signing 3-4 players in a panic buy. Rabiot, GAKPO, Sasa Kaljovic. I'm not sure. Maybe a Conrad Lehmann will be thrown in the mix. But I think there's going to be a lot of transfer news coming out in this final 3 weeks of the transfer window. 3 weeks today, the transfer window closes, and I feel like it's going to be an absolute madness. So I do want to throw out there, do make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on all that news. Let me refresh my screen. We have now hit 44,000 subscribers. So thanks everybody for supporting the channel and all of that as well. It's an embarrassing statement from Manchester United. Manchester United is honestly just so embarrassing as well. McFredio, honestly, McRabio, McRabid. I mean, honestly, it would feel like McRabid, wouldn't it, as well? I mean, the amount of nicknames we can have. Romero was right, and Lewandowski and Koundé, he was right, and he's saying that Romero is Barca's stooge. Everyone knows that as well. But we have hit 44k as well. De Jong to Chelsea Friday. Man, I will cry if De Jong ends up at Chelsea. At least if De Jong stays at Barcelona, he absolutely messes up Barcelona. He absolutely fucks them about, and we can all laugh at Barcelona if De Jong stays at Barcelona. But you know, if De Jong doesn't come to United, we just cry. We just cry. At least we can laugh at Barcelona. We just sit here and we cry. I want to get into some more news as well. People saying, have you seen Rabiot play? I haven't. He's crap. Like he had potential, but he's crap. In terms of transfer news, and this is a positive thing. We have a positive story, a good story, guys. Manchester United have turned their attention to CODY, GAKPO, and are interested in Sasa Kalajdzic. United will look to trim the deadwood from their squad before proceeding with either signing, which is mad. I mean, let me get this up on the screen. Let me get this up on the screen. This is mad. United will look to trim the deadwood before signing them. It's attack. We don't have deadwood in attack because we've got no attack. How can United say before we sign an attacker, we need to get rid of the deadwood? When do we have an attacker? Garnacho's our best option off the bench. 17-year-old. I like Garnacho, he's a baller, but you cannot rely on a 17-year-old. So United have got CODY, GAKPO and Sasa Kalajdzic is interested. So United, in their worst transfer window ever, with the attack being super thin, with Tenno wanting an attacker, and we haven't signed a single attacker, I've got 2 attackers shortlisted, but have decided that we're not going to sign an attacker until we get rid of the deadwood. Yeah, we've got deadwood in this club, but not in attack. We've got no one in attack. So why are we waiting to sell someone to sign an attacker when we've always needed an attacker? We've always wanted an attacker all window. We haven't signed an attacker, and we've got no depth in attack. This club is honestly a banter club. I absolutely laugh at it. Now, I think there'd be 2 brilliant signings, and following on from that story, the Times also said that GAKPO would cost 29 million and Kalajdzic would cost 20 million. So they would cost 50 million combined, which I think would be really good business. But like, I mean, yes, everyone is deadwood, but honestly, trim the deadwood and attack a team who started their last game with no attacker. Literally, it makes no sense. Rebel says a CDM striker, right back and left back would be my top priority. Fred and McTominay clearly can't protect the defence. Maybe a CDM will help McFred and Donny van der Beek look better. Yes, definitely. Big up Gaz in the chat. GAKPO will play against Rangers on the 24th. I think if we get GAKPO, it will be a deadline day signing as well. Romero was the first one who said about the transfer saga of De Jong 95% done. I don't believe him. I won't believe it unless it's Ornstein or Fabrizio. I think on this situation you can only believe Ornstein or Fabrizio. And you know what's really funny is everyone was turning on Fabrizio Romano when Brighton came out and said, "Oh, nothing's happened with Cucurella," but Romano was right. Brighton lied to us. Romano was right. You know, it's mad. I feel like you can only trust Romano and Ornstein and Whitwell. Laurie Whitwell's a really good journalist as well at this rate, because Barcelona just tell their media so much crap. Like, Barcelona leaks so much crap to their media that I sit here and I go, I don't know what to believe. You guys will probably sit here and be like, well, you don't know what to believe, because all Barcelona do is leak crap after crap after crap to their media. So we're in a situation where we don't know what to believe. But look, guys, I am going to wrap up the live stream here. I know it was a little bit of a shorter live stream, but it was a bit more of a rant live stream, but I've got dinner and I'm absolutely starving, so I do need to wrap up the live stream. So I apologise it's a bit shorter. Worries me that Eric Ten Hag plays McTominay as an advanced 8, but what else can he do with McTominay? I will say one thing on Eric Ten Hag. I won't be impressed if I see McFred starting in a pivot versus Brentford. I know Eric Ten Hag's got no options, and I feel like McFred is an option, but I want to see Donny or Garner or Ericsson even playing deep in that pivot. I want to see that. because we're in a situation where I don't want to see MCFRED after what we saw versus Brighton. I do not want to see MCFRED starting again. Empty Old Trafford was 20 today on Twitter. Hope you guys will initiate the movement successfully. Guys, keep smashing that like button. Do subscribe if you're new. Let's get the Empty Old Trafford movement trending. But big up everybody that tuned in today's live stream. Smash a like, subscribe, share the video. Video coming out tomorrow, live stream tomorrow evening. So big up everyone that tuned in, and Empty Old Trafford, yeah?